Sacred relationship. What exactly does that mean? And how do we move into a more evolved expression of relationship? How do we also honor the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine within ourselves, within our relationships, within our lives? This conversation, I love. It deepens into what Christina Lopes and I touched on in this episode, which was 2 episodes ago, when we just dipped a toe into sacred relationship. It also touches into what Robert Ohato and I talked about in service to the moment. So at the end of this episode, these 2 beautiful human beings dive into how one can serve the moment, how we can allow love and something way greater than just our little selves to flow through us and gift the moment, gift the world, gift our lovers, our partners, the people we work with. This conversation is with a couple who has been together for over 34 years. They not only embody sacred relationship, which you'll see, you'll get to watch them. They are this beautiful example of masculine gifting, feminine gifting, but whole unto self beings who flow in this beautiful dynamic, and they bring words to sacred relationship. They bring words to how they embody these different aspects and how they are whole self. They bring words to sacred in life, to the embodiment of the divine, the expression of the divine, into our sexuality, go into sexual expression, sacred sexual expression, which reminds me, super quick invitation. We are doing Sacred Sexuality online. Y'all have been asking for it and said, enough with the in-person retreats, Sabrina, we can't make it. Do something that's accessible. So if that's something of interest to you, find details up here, also down below in the description, where you can jump into this exploration into the 5 sacred elements of sacred sexuality and deepen into their embodiment practices, their transmissions, their deep dives, their reflections, their foundation setting. So it's actually called Sacred Sexuality Foundations. So really laying the groundwork for you to kind of go to the next level with either your spirituality, your sexuality, your life, your relationship. This is not just about sex. It's not about sex. All right. Enough of me talking. I would love to introduce to you Satyen and Suzanne Raja. Wow, it is an absolute honor to be here with the 2 of you. Satyen, Suzanne Raja, welcome to ReWilding.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Wonderful.
So I would love to dive into this conversation together today by sharing with everyone listening how I met the 2 of you, and really more around what a gift it was when I met the 2 of you, and how kind of masculine gifting and feminine gifting came to me from the 2 of you. It's really, really beautiful. And I think this will open things or inspire things, or I don't know, just take us to different places, and also gift those who are listening. So I first met these 2 beautiful beings on a television show, and this was my first television show. So I show up to the studio nervous, having no idea what's going on. And these 2 souls are already there. And I see Suzanne's radiance, just this radiant love, beauty, and it's pouring onto me, is exactly how it felt to me, is just this radiance and love and beauty pouring onto me, which instantly makes me feel alive, and like her radiance inspiring and invoking my radiance. and her love inspiring and evoking my love. And so it was in all my nervousness and everything that was going on for me, it was just like, oh, wait a minute. Yes, this is just life. And I can be life here in this nervous situation. So that's one side of it. Now, the other side was Satyen. When I see Satyen, he opens a door for me, right? And for his wife. And he's holding this space. And it was this instant feel of I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. And I think one of the really interesting and beautiful things, I mean, there were 1,000 different things that we could dive into here, but was this deep love and respect between the two of you, but your capacity to share your gifting outside of just the two of you without it feeling at all glitchy or wonky. Or am I making sense in that? I know that there's better words around this, and I would love for the two of you to share a little bit about feminine radiance as a gift, masculine gifting in just the space and the presence and the awareness that you hold, and how you're able to amplify that beyond just the two of you, beyond outside of your sacred container.
What a great question. I love the story. I was just, yeah, the truth is we're just grateful for each day that we have together. And when I say that, I'm just like, oh, somebody that's listening to this might be like, oh, really? Are you really grateful all the time? We're actually really grateful all the time. All the time. We do not take for granted that we wake up and have each other in our life. And so every day is a blessing. It's a true blessing. And for us to have each other, for us to wake up and go, oh my God, first, I've been given the gift of life. Second, you're still here in my life. I am so blessed to have this. And to be blessed to have a partner that just emanates, Satyen emanates his masculine, trustable, powerful, deep force in my life, has me all floaty, I get to shine. I get to radiate that. And it's my gratitude, actually, that you're receiving. It's my gratitude. And when I see someone else, such as yourself, with a beauty that's not just exterior, but inside, it's like a tuning fork, and we see each other. And then it's like, we see and we feel what is like, and what is not like actually picks up on that, and they become brighter and deeper. So that's what I would say.
I love that.
You nailed it at the beginning when you shared about you saw us demonstrating or living co-gifting. And I think that's the value that we hold most deeply in relationship. When we met our mentor, David Data, years back, we were in traditional mindsets around relationships and such. And through learning those practices and teachings from him, we recognized that, we could have an old school type of relationship where it's more about getting from each other. What am I getting and not getting? That's endless. There's always something you're not getting enough of. Always. It's never going to be someone's going to be able to give you perfectly everything you need. It's impossible. And it's neurotic to just try to keep appeasing a part of ourselves that just wants some fulfillment from each other. Enough, there's foundational fulfillment you need, but I'm talking when it goes overboard, right? And constant not enoughness in relationship. And then we grow beyond, hey, being self-resourceful. I can find my own self-gifts. She can find her own self-gifts. We can become strong in that. And that's also very valuable. But I think the ultimate expression that we've come to recognize is that yes, we can help ourselves, but it's ecstatic to be in service to each other's evolution, physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, sexual, spiritual. Like there's no edge. And it's that, hey, what can I do this day to be of service to your evolution? It's become a turn on, a mutual turn on.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the essence of what's made our relationship, well now for 34 years, continue to grow and evolve, is that um, that spark we keep alive. How can I serve you more than just myself today? How can I help you become the fullness of your nature? How can I help you become the full expression of you? So that's the essence of relationship for me. One that's worthwhile.
Whew, that is extraordinary to have words around that, that you both have found such beautiful words around that. Now, two things come up for me.
Yeah.
One is this stepping into sacred relationship, and it's almost as if evolving, your relationship evolved into something deeper and deeper and deeper and more extraordinary and deeper gifting and deeper truth and deeper authenticity. And so that piece, I'd love to maybe expand on that. And then the other piece is how the gifting between the two of you, I know you hold workshops and you hold spaces for others, how you allow that, how you ripple that out, how you gift that out beyond you. So I don't know where we want to go first, but those are kind of the two things coming up.
So we've made a game out of the playful dynamics of each other. So rather than say, okay, women should be this way, men should be this way, you're that way in a stuck role, I'm this way in a stuck role. Those roles were there for many, many years for whatever reasons, valid reasons. And then, we here in the West, we've outgrown a lot of that, but not most of the world. There's still those old school values might serve for survival for certain tribes and people and such. But we're beyond just survival here, at least in our worlds over here. And so, we've come to recognize that there's a spectrum of energy within our being. And we're using the term masculine, feminine. You can use the term freedom and flow. It doesn't have to be connected to the idea of maleness and femaleness, although there is some correlation. And the masculine essence, in our work, we describe it as a triangle. We give it a symbol of an upward triangle that's composed of presence, which means being here, right now. And I'm with my lady and I'm right here, right now. She loves it. If I'm distracted, I'm all over the place. It's not enticing. It's not connecting. It's not sexually inspiring. But when I'm very present, obviously it creates a wonderful response. If I'm not, it also creates a response, right? We're either repelling in the response, we're neutralizing, going flat and bored, or we're evoking each other's sensual, sexual, intellectual, heart, spirit response. So presence, claim. When I'm in my claim, what I stand for, what I value, what's non-negotiable for me, not from some vehemency, but just from principle. And I ground in that presence, claim, and then penetration. Meaning when I'm with my wife, Suzanne, not just being disconnected, but feeling as if I'm actually with her, in her, through her, and that she's in me, through me. And so that presence, that claim, and that penetration, that triangle of power, masculine power, if you will, are sort of like dials, bass, treble, and the bass, mid-range, and treble. When we have them all dialed in nicely, it creates a beautiful response from our partners, what I've discovered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so there's
See it. You can see it.
yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, absolutely. So there's the feminine side to this as well. And so the feminine triangle is it's like the yoni. It's shaped, it's a downward triangle. And so one part of it is now, before I even say that, let's just think about, feel into not just the times where it's awesome, but let's use the feminine triangle when it's not so easy. because that's when it really counts, right? It's easy when it's easy. So say my partner is not being present. What can I do in response to gift my partner so he's not present in the moment? Okay, so the first part to this is invitation. And invitation is just as it sounds. It's like, how do I bring him into life? How do I invite his presence versus demand his presence? How do I invite it? How do I make it so that he wants to actually wake up and be present, be here, you know? So I could feel into him and I could see, oh, he's not present right now. I feel into the love and the care that you have for your partner, and feel their body, and feel, how are they breathing right now? Could they use some more touch? You know, is their breath shallow? So the invitation is to touch and to invite by saying, beloved, I'm here. Welcome in. And it's that touch of like, come into this, that brings him to his presence. And my eyes as well, you know, my eyes, it's good to be here with a smile. What's your countenance? You know, it's like, yeah. So then there's if you feel like your partner isn't claiming you, isn't saying, well, you know, you mean something to me, and I'm going to declare that, and they're not doing that, instead of saying, hey, you know, don't I mean anything to you? Notice in the moment, how are you holding yourself? Are you relaxed in it? And the next part to the triangle is surrender. And surrender is surrender from power, from your strength. How are you letting go and allowing him to take you and claim you and say, you know, you're mine, we're one. Are you relaxed in that? So can you be more relaxed and in your body receptive to his claim? And then the final piece to this is expression. That's the final piece. And actually, for a lot of us, expression is difficult when it's difficult. And so, you know, you may want him to enter your soul, like feel you. It's like, he's not feeling me. Why is he not feeling me? Well, instead of saying, why are you not feeling me? How can you express to him in a way where it's, beloved? See, in this moment, beloved, by saying that word, beloved, we call each other beloved because we're more than just each other. We're more than just, this is my partner. This is the one that I love so deeply. So I say, beloved, and you can see he relaxes his energy. Beloved, I love it when you're here with me. I love it when I can feel your heart entering mine. And when you feel him doing this, you respond. You express your happiness. You express that it's good to be here. So you see, it works together. It's a dance.
That's beautiful. And I love the tangibility of that. Here's the triangle. Here are the 3 points. Yeah, that's amazing and beautiful and perfect. So if you were going to, actually now I have another question. I want to veer off on a quick little tangent here because I hear this one often from the feminine. And it's when we're being penetrated, right? We're being claimed, we're being penetrated. We're like, the masculine is so with us, so conscious, so present to us. And then they have to go to work. They have to, you know, we have lives and we have other things to do. And so, right, that penetration is happening and it's this, you know, almost, you know, the feminine, and this is how a lot we'll talk about it. Maybe you'll use different terms, but it's like an individual will kind of surrender their masculine over in that moment, right? And just be the fullness of the feminine. And then the masculine that was surrendered over has gone to work, let's say. And now the feminine is in this place, and it's like this transition place, or this place of pain, this place of hurt. I'd love to talk a little bit about this place.
Oh, yeah, good. Good that you bring this up. This is perfect. So first, be tender with yourself when you feel this. Be tender with yourself and know and lean actually into the feeling of sadness, sorrow, feeling of abandonment, whatever that is, name that thing, name it, and be willing to lean into it and feel it fully. Feel it fully. And as you're feeling it fully, feel it even more fully. Wear it, like just, and move with it. Actually move your body into it as if you're making love with that ache, that wretched feeling of something being ripped away from you. Just start to move your body, because to the extent that you stay still, what will happen is you'll go into your head and all kinds of crazy stuff will happen. Move your body, lean into it, start to make love with that. And as you attune yourself to that, then start to give yourself the love that you're yearning for, that you've forgotten about when you couple. When you couple, the love that you have for yourself, all of a sudden goes out the window. You forget about yourself. You forget there's another human, that you were a human, that you were there. And so it's about making love with what you feel, and back to making love with you, and then going, hey, oh yes, here I am, I'm back. Woo! Take yourself on a date. Give yourself those things that you yearn for in your partner. And to the extent that you can love yourself back is the extent that you're that radiant light that he is really wanting to return to, because you're like this beam, and you're not doing it to hone him back, but it's a result. It is a side effect of that. That's what I do. That's actually what I do.
Yeah.
I return to me. And how is that with you when
it feels like you're not dependent on me, and it feels like you're not needy of me. It feels like, yes, you are sometimes wanting to connect with me more and deeper, but that you're not going to fall apart, or you're not codependent on my presence there being in every moment. And there's a feeling of you replenishing your own being, and it feels very, very adult and conscious and positive. And then it makes me want to go, yeah, I'm ready to hang with you and give you and share myself and my presence.
Oh, yum. Yum, 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 yum. So I can very much relate. For me, back in my younger days, when I would feel that hurt or that pain, it would be just a shutdown, right? And so very similar to you, where now it's just swim in it, be with it, make love to it. Yep. So I love your words around that. It's beautiful and perfect.
good.
Satyen, I'd love to, we're expressing and talking about the feminine hurt or the feminine pain. Is there something in the masculine where it's like, that's painful?
Yeah. First of all, it's the recognition, or the lack of recognition of to what degree I'm living my purpose, my mission, my dharma, and how valued I am. So when a lot of masculine oriented people, when their heart is shut down and they're in a weak moment, or they're not in their full alignment, you might have the feeling of, oh, we're not appreciated enough, we're not valued enough for our work, our hard work, our contribution, those type of generalized patterns of inner experience. Yet in those moments, again, my practice is to recognize it's not that I'm not being appreciated. It's just there's something going on over there in herself, so full right now in her being, she doesn't have the energy to appreciate me. What can I do to attend to that? And when I can attend to that, any feeling of in either one of us of a lack of wholeness, we can come to each other's support, not each other's rescue. To come into each other's rescue, to fill each other, creates codependency, and it's an unhealthy. But to raise each other up in the midst of that is something that we can offer as a valiant expression of devotion, of our devotion. So one of the deepest masculine pains is not feeling you're free enough, you're constrained by all the forces of life, all of us. So whatever is, inhibiting or preventing or obscuring or is an obstacle to our real sense of freedom can really hurt, and it can feel very suppressed. And so part of our practice is what can I do to come for myself as a masculine person? For me, I like to have deep meditation periods. I like to start off my morning with deep meditation. I like martial arts. I like going in nature and challenging myself. And those things replenish my masculine essence, my stillness, and allows me then to come back with presence, claim, and penetration from stillness, not from agitation or lack.
Which is palatable, which can be felt, which is so celebrated and desired by the feminine partner.
Beautiful. The next little piece that kind of popped out for me was support versus rescue.
Mm-hmm.
Can we dive into that and bring some words to that? I know there's so much talk around codependency and not rescuing and boundaries, healthy boundaries. And I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into kind of this component.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I have to rescue my partner, if I have in my mind that he needs rescuing, what's happened is I'm not seeing him anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing him, and I'm not appreciating his capacity. I'm not appreciating the divine being that he is. That is a conscious being with choice that has the capacity to do anything. And it's the one that, I'll speak about myself. I've always seen Satyen as a great being. When I met him, I saw in him someone who was going through life for more than just himself. And it's what drew me to him, because there's a depth in that. You can live life for you, or you can live life for something that's greater than that. And my seeing of him, if I was to feel like I have to rescue him at any point in time, that's my stuff. Because a being such as this, and really, I'm not just talking about myself and Satyen. Anyone who's listening, anyone who wants to be in a relationship or who's in a relationship, you want a good relationship, start seeing your partner or the partner that you wish to attract into your life as someone that you would follow, not because you are needy for them, but because the direction that they're going is beyond just their own life, but has something greater to offer. And if you honor them in that way, if you feel that they are of that caliber, and they should not be of any less than that, or you're settling. And I tell whoever we're working with, do never settle. Be alone in happiness and bliss, alone, but don't settle. And so because I never settled, I would never have to rescue one such as this, because one such as this has the capacity to be anything that they want to be. And I am here to stoke the fire of who they are, not to try and save them from anything, but to stoke it, to invite it, to let go and allow that greatness to emerge, and to celebrate it with my expression of delight and pleasure. That's how I support. And that's how you support a great being who is your partner.
You know, for me, it's like to release the assumption that she's broken and needs fixing, and that she needs saving in any way, because that's denying her power, her autonomy, her sovereignty, her self-creation, her self-resourcefulness. And so when I catch myself into that way of thinking, I go, hold on a sec. She's not broken. She's not lacking anything, period. Can I augment? Can I support? Can I add to her fullness? So it does take some shifting. It does take some reorienting, rebooting, coming out of, oh God, this again to, oh, this again. This is not from any form of lack. This is an expression of her being from her fullness. And that's the primary shift in perception that's really supported our relationship for me, is not to think that she's lacking or broken anyway. That the only thing that if it's some form of upset for her, it's usually an obstruction of the flow of love. Somehow love is not flowing fully as it could be. So I take it as an indicator, not as a personal slight, that something in the flow of love, I depersonalize it. What could it be? Could it be our attitude, my attitude? Could it be, something, whatever? Let me feel for that. Depersonalize it and support the flow of love to bloom. That saves a lot of problems. Because you can go on about the problems for the rest of your life.
It's like shifting. I always talk about the radio dial. What are we focusing on? And it's shifting off of that, and just almost like what you're saying sounds like just reminding you that you are this divinely glorious being, right? Or I think it's just so beautiful how both of you have just shifted the whole way of thinking about it.
Yeah. And realistically, it's like one day I'll be like, in my everyday shit and stuff, and whatever, life and kids, business and dogs, and everything else, right? Life is COVID and politics, economies, micro all the way to macro. It's endless stuff in our face. So if we don't put our passion and connection first, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
No one's going to do it for us. No one's going to say, hold on a sec, world. No, it's us that have to make that priority. So we aim to reboot our priority, put ourselves first, our family first, our connection and faith and our spiritual life first, because that's our passion. That is the root of all our passion, It's a defense system against the onslaught of distraction.
Absolutely. This kind of goes to this evolving into sacred relationship or deeper relationship. I wonder if we can talk a little bit about the evolution of your relationship. You guys have been together over 30 years now, right? Like, that's a lot of wisdom in there. A lot of wisdom, a lot of experience in there.
Yeah, we've got a t-shirt on just about everything, frankly. Yeah, we've been in the trenches. We really have.
34 years now.
Battle
and friends before that in high school.
Yeah.
And we raised 2 young adult children and co-led and founded multiple companies and such, and as advice. So we've had full, rich lives,
Yeah, the funny thing too is Satyen was alluding to that we were friends before we were um, partners, lovers, and we were actually our very first coaches for each other.
Wow.
Because, unofficial coaches, because, Satyen had a beautiful girlfriend, I had an awesome boyfriend, and we met in high school. And so I'd come to him and I'd be like, oh, this isn't working, what do you think? And he'd be like, have you tried this? And I was like, I thought of that. Okay. I go away, I come back, yes, it worked. And then he'll come, he's like, oh, this is happening. I'm like, have you thought of this? And he'd go back and he'd be like, yeah, it worked out. And it was like, who knew that later on in life we would end up like this? We certainly didn't think this. And I think it's always been, how can we grow? How can we evolve? How can we make it better?
Yeah.
How can we take this? We've always, Satyen and I have always had a deep yearning for truth and depth. From the onset, we both yearn for that. And funnily enough, Satyen's name means truth in Sanskrit. So thank you, God. And it's like, so we've always gone for that truth and depth and growth. And so that's how we deepen. That's how we continue to, no matter what happens, no matter what is going on in our life, we cleave to each other, we come back to each other, and we see each other as really one being with we're individuals, yes, in our fullness, but his masculine is my masculine. My feminine is his feminine. And it's like I get to express the feminine side of our relationship. He gets to express the masculine side of our relationship. And at times we play with the fun of both, to bring the passion forth. But, the depth and the growth, and that's really, and the truth is really what the wheel that we keep oiling and we keep moving together.
Sacredness in our relationship is found through diving into what's true. Where are we aligned? Where are we not aligned? How are we aligned with ourselves? Where we are not aligned with ourselves? And when you asked about sacred relationships, sacred to me brings up the divine, God, Goddess, the Almighty. And of course, many people have their own views and their own unique views on that. And some people have no view around that, or not. It's not part of their paradigms. For us, it is. And the sense of there's a greater being that we can be in service to through our relationship is this type of spiritual strength that literally feels like it can face anything. Left to our own devices, we can get caught up in our own egos, our own pettinesses, our own, childish stuff and adolescent stuff. Doesn't matter how enlightened we get in this world, even the most enlightened teacher can have some petty adolescent side get fired up, fired off, all of us, right? All of us, right? And so what keeps us reorienting around higher values is knowing and finding our own ways to connect with spirit.
Yeah.
And then having spirit inform us, guide us. We listen to spirit together by going in nature walks, by having gentle time in hot tub, and even when we make love, even in the moment of orgasm, we don't allow ourselves to collapse. We practice the expansion of orgasm so that we include a benevolent energy. Our hearts, may all beings be liberated. May all beings know love. May all beings have peace. May all beings have filled bellies. May all families come together in unity. May our whole world and sentient family come together. So although it's a deeply altruistic and sometimes seemingly impossible stance to hold, why not? Anything else we found is not is after a while will not sustain a long-term relationship. Possessions, comfort, um, uh, co-enjoyment of opera or whatever preferences you might, that'll last for a certain while. But as we evolve, major parts of us are falling off. Evolution requires that we become outdated to what used to be the norm, and requires us to reboot into a new um, being. And in this day and age, evolution is calling us to evolve quicker, faster, deeper. There's a sacred quickening going on this planet. So what Suzanne and I do is we hop on that rocket ship of the quickening, and we hold and we make devotion our thrusters and our direction to keep us clear and in the heart of truth.
That is exactly where I was hoping this conversation would go. um, if you were going to share the most powerful things that you could share with anyone listening about how to come to this place, how to continue to stay in that place, how to call in the sacred, to surrender over to something so much greater and allow that to come through both relationship and through just yourself as a being out in the world and what it is that you're creating in the world and how you're serving the world, what would you share?
I would say have really good mentors
Yeah.
in your life. Have really good mentors in your life and a community around you that is rising together in the direction that you want to be going. Because who you associate with, who you move with, will either take you down or help you to rise up to where you want to be. And for us, we have had mentors and have mentors that help us to stay aligned to the direction that we want to go as a couple. I mean, really early on, before we even, just when we started dating, we decided, we found a mentor who's still one of our mentors to this day.
Anjali Hill.
Anjali Hill. Anjali Hill. And we hired her because we said, you know what? We've experienced what relationship is like, having had our own families, and the way that our families had their relationship was the way they had their relationship. It was not terrible, but it wasn't exactly what we wanted. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't what we wanted. We wanted something different. We wanted sacred relationship. We wanted to go deeper. We wanted to grow, and all of those things that we couldn't see any of what we really wanted modeled anywhere. And so we went to her and said, okay, so can you help us to continue to stoke this fire, to continue to align ourselves to where we're going? And she did. She sat with us and she said something very wonderful. She said, I am not invested in where this relationship goes. I am invested in the truth.
Yes.
In the truth.
Yes.
So we continue that, and we've had many mentors since then, and we hold them sacred because it is in the guidance and their example and their guidance, and they're celebrating us and keeping us awake.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping us awake. And so with your mentors and your community keeping you awake, you stay awake.
Beautiful.
One of the things Suzanne and I do quite regularly, every couple of months, every few months, sometimes just sporadically, is, honey, what's the purpose of your life? What's the purpose of your life? What are you here for? You really listen to it, because it keeps morphing and evolving. What used to be a purpose of your life, you might be past its expiration date now, So re-asking that, but with real inquiry, real caring. I want to know what's the purpose. And just by having your lover, a close friend, your best friend, your lover, your partner, ask you that with real meaning, wanting to know, and with the energy and with the disposition of, I'm going to, whatever you say, I'm behind it. That cheerleading energy is so nourishing. It means that that support is there. So we like to ask ourselves, what are you here for? What are you here for? And then once we've shared that, then next we go, what are we here for? Because it's a different answer. It includes what we're here for individually, but now it goes from me to we to the beyond. What are we here for? And we
Yeah.
listen, we talk about it, we feel into it, we investigate it, and we work it out. Yeah, that feels right. That's a little off. That feels right. And when we have that discussion and it's really singing, we can feel the cosmos like go, yes, that's what I'm here for, what you're here for, and what we are here for. And it's always something bigger and a stretch than perhaps what's comfortable. So that's what I want to share with everyone listening. It's always a stretch and what you're comfortable handling. And that edge, that the stretch which is in the edge, that's where there's a great amount of evolutionary, ecstatic life force that's going to just open up magical doors for us when we're willing to dive into, go beyond the risk of complacency.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And just want to bring back the piece of support and how you both have just given such a beautiful example of how you support each other in this practice.
We're not coaches for each other, we're cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Hire coaches, have mentors, read books, listen
Yes.
to great talks, podcasts, nourish the relationship in yourself. Don't just nourish the relationship, don't just nourish yourself, nourish both. But at the end of the day, be each other's greatest cheerleaders.
I love that. I think that's so important. And I kind of want to reiterate that cheerleaders, not coaches. It's very different. So I love that you've dropped that.
Yeah. Cheerleader lover. Cheerleader lover, not cheerleader buddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheerleader lover. That brings in the intoxication of the erotic energy into it. You're my babe. Let's go. Instead of, hey, honey, hey, instead of a neutral, friendly energy, which is wonderful, which you should share with friends. But with your intimate partner, you can put the flame up a little and be devotional from your erotic essence.
Oh, yes. The world needs more of this. Bring in the juice, turn up the heat.
Yes. Absolutely.
I would love to ask a question that's a little bit out there, just to throw it out there and see what kind of arises in the conversation. But we spoke, Satyen, you touched on evolution and you touched on this spiritual quickening. We're in a spiritual quickening and the evolving. And I would love to touch on what you, both of you, are seeing, feeling, sensing in evolution of, we touched on old roles that we used to be in, and many other cultures and societies are still in old roles, or what would be considered in our Western culture old roles. But what are you seeing now and in the younger generations coming up? I'm watching the gender edges being pushed. I'm watching so many things just being kind of obliterated. And I would love to hear what's top of mind for the both of you, what you're seeing, sensing, witnessing, feeling, maybe with those you're working with, or even just feeling into the collective, or feeling into, the cosmos, and just anything that's arising.
Yeah, I'll start with the younger generation, what I'm seeing. The younger generation, they're so cool. They're so cool.
I know.
edges to them. There's no edges. They will not be compartmentalized. They will not be labeled. You're not going to call me this. My relationship is the way that I see it this week. It might be different next week, and I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, you're amazing. Look at the possibilities for you. Look at the creativity. It's so much creativity, and they're so wise. They're free. They're very free. That's the word that I that I would use for this, is they're so free in their way of being. And it's beautiful. And there's such opportunities in that, There's our clients typically are, between the ages of, 35 to they're, on and on. And I would say that, lost my thought for a moment there. I got really excited with the younger folk. Satyen, why don't you speak, and then I'll my darling, I invite you.
I think this explosion and loosening up of what my friend Jeffrey Armstrong calls stalemate. There's stalemates, role mates, and then there's this enlightened new whatever mating that we're moving towards. You have to experiment to go to the edge and make a lot of mistakes to come back into some balance. And so whatever hyper masculine world that we've been in an unconsciously unhealthy way, right, has to swing the opposite way over the next few years, so that we can find the wisdom that's from its opposite, find the rebalancing, but then recognize, oh my goodness, if we go, and after 10, 20 years, we'll realize, oh, no, hold on a sec, we've swung a little too far here. We're also out of balance, but it's correcting the big imbalance for the last 2,000 years. So just like a pendulum, it swings back and forth. And it may take us another 100 years or 200 or 500, if we're around, to come back into a type of center space where we don't have to worry about these things. I believe we're ultimately moving towards anyone can be what they want, how they want, when they want, as they want, as long as they do no harm to others.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm all for. I'm all for love has no look, love has no right or wrong. Love is for something that serves each other, yourself, and serves the greater good. If it removes any of those, if love is not omni-conscious, meaning taking into account the wider community, the spectrum, it's not usually love. It's usually infatuation or some unresolved family dynamics that we've mistaken as love, that feels like it's love, but really is a longing and a lacking of love, which we try to fill with substance and all distraction, substances and distraction. So in the big picture, I believe we're on the right track, all of us. I believe all the exploration that's happening in sexuality and relaxing of identifications is a valid and valuable step along the way. But ultimately, the wisest place is, who am I? And sometimes we got to experience who we're not a lot to recognize that's not me. I tried it, I wore the garment, I got the t-shirt, but that's not me. So my advice is go try everything.
Try everything.
Be a trisexual, be a until you find, your uni-sexuality, your truth.
Yeah.
Which is never fixated. Let people do what they want. You do what you want, and respect the forms of love as they arise.
I love that.
And in the realm of support your partner to live to their fullest in whatever that looks like for them. So if they're in exploration mode and they're wanting to try something that's a little different, in the realm of sexuality, and they bring it up, to be present with them, to be inviting with them, to relax and to stay in it with them, cleave to them, and express your truth, but also be willing to hear them and to really get them, and cheer them on, be excited for them. You know, because you're in it together. It's a relationship. The ship is going together. And no matter what, you stay together in that with them to the best of your ability, and open to the possibilities, because they're infinite.
Love this. Love this conversation. I feel I feel so gifted, and I feel like there are so many threads of wisdom coming through. And I mean, there are so many moments I've just had those truth chills just all the way down and going, oh wow, that's such a transmission. And then, oh gosh, and that too. So just so grateful for everything that both of you are bringing to this episode, to this conversation, to those listening. And I feel like I'd kind of like to start wrapping things up maybe, but there's something around, I don't know why this is coming up, but it's something around serving the moment. And how do the both of you serve the moment, whether that be when you're holding a workshop space? And I'll confess here, this comes from watching both of you facilitate space, and watching both of you. And Satyen, I specifically remember a moment in a retreat where you so perfectly served the moment, like read the fullness of the room. This is how it feels to me. Read and it wasn't anything anyone would have expected coming, right? It wasn't anything from a logical, rational, reasonable place. It was literally like opening up to serving the moment, serving something way greater than yourself. And I know both of you do this, and I would love to talk about that, because I know that there are a lot of individuals in the community, in the rewilding community, who really work to serve the moment, really work to become channels, and really work to, you know, serve something greater than them, which is what we've been talking about a lot today. So I'd love to kind of go into that as sort of a closing kind of a piece.
Working to serve the moment is going to be hard.
Let's just be honest about it.
It's going to be real hard, because you can't work to serve the moment. It actually doesn't work to serve the moment. What you've got to do is you've got to let go versus work.
Yes.
You've got to open to the moments, service through you, you know. And I'll cite Anjali once again, because she's just given us such pearls. She said once to me, when I said to her, oh my gosh, all this stuff was coming through me. I don't know. I'm just trying to ground right now. Can you help me? Because it's just like, whoa, it's just coming through. And she just slowed me right down. She said, hey, listen, I know you had a lot of wisdom that came through, but I want you to imagine it like this. You are one of in a box of bulbs that the divine has chosen to just screw in, you know, and the divine is the source that's coming through your particular bulb. So get over your freaking self, you know, it's basically that. And just like, if it's coming through, can you just sit back, allow it to come through, do it, and then thank you very much, you know, don't take it on. It's not, it is you, because you're the vehicle for it. Take care of yourself, but there's no work to be done. When the divine wants you, you can either say yes or no to be plugged in, and once you're plugged in, it will flow through. So there is no work. There's just to let go and let the divine.
I love those words, being done. I'm being done, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're being done. Yeah.
when I'm leading events and trainings and such, one of the key factors to what you said, it's rewilding. You're coming back to the willingness to go wild outside of any boxes that you have of how anything should be done. And you're willing to call upon the wild intuition of being and follow it without knowing what's next. And trusting, like Mr. Magoo in the old cartoon series. Those of you who haven't seen, you can look up Mr. Magoo on YouTube. And it's this man who's sort of doesn't see that well, and he wears very thick glasses. And wherever he walks, if he takes the next step, it's going to be dangerous. He's going to fall and die of something. But all of a sudden, the universe, something just keeps coming up underneath him, and he avoids all these calamities because he's trusting. So in a way, it's allowing your own Mr. and Mrs. Magoo to be at the forefront. The other thing is loosening the grip of control so that you can be listening rather than aiming to control, loosening the grip of personal control so that you can listen to the direction that's wanting to be ushered and reveal itself. And the essence of that to me is relinquishing self-importance. Whenever I'm leading a training, I do my best, at first there's the heart beating, there's the breathing, I got, these notes, I got these, these are the topics I want to cover and all that. There's a lot of what I want to cover. I should cover what should be covered for the sake of them. But when I have all of that, I literally toss it away. And then I just drop in. I take a moment to feel everyone in the space with me as my family. Soften the front surface of my body. And I say, Lord, just here, I relinquish my self-importance and what needs to happen. And then immediately I'll know. And then I make contact and I just go. And I just go. And that, I'm sharing the simple steps to that, but it took me, a lifetime to trust those simple steps. And the outcome of those simple steps is so much more profound and mystical than any preordained offering I can make.
Yeah. Oh, the fact that you both have brought words to that just lights up my whole being. It makes my heart just want to explode. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful conversation. And I would love for you to share where everyone listening can find you and what you have coming up, or just what feels right to share in this moment as kind of a next step for anyone listening.
Thank you, Sabrina. And thanks to everyone who's watching and listening. It's our joy to be in your connection. You can come and visit us at our website, which is warriorsage.com, WARRIORSAGE.com. We have our latest books that are there on leadership and consciousness and transcendence leadership. We have our noteworthy, acclaimed workshop that we call Sex, Passion, and Enlightenment, which is a couples weekend that we do. And you can go online and find out about all of those. And we also have a great amount of resources, audios, videos, all available for free. All our vintage stuff to really support couples, singles, and anyone who wishes to walk the path of the warrior and the sage, the spiritual warrior and the sage. So please come and visit and enjoy all the materials that are there. warriorsage.com.
Wow. Just love the work that you both are doing in the world. Really, 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 really. And it's been an absolute honor. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Thanks for asking.